Hello friends, welcome to Manu Law Classes. मेरा नाम गौतम दीक्षित है. Now today in this video we are going to discuss the important news from the Hindu edition of 24th March 2023. Now today is World Tuberculosis Day. Okay, so this day is very important. So these types of important days, especially related to health and environment, they come in our exam. So whenever they are coming, please make a note of that. And tuberculosis, if you will see, it becomes important because according to the global TB report which is released by World Health Organization, if you will see that India has the highest burden of TB in the world. Okay, so if you will see that across the world 28% of the TB cases are there in India. 28%, this is too much. Okay, and if you will see that proportion of multi-drug resistant TB is also very high in India. Multi-drug resistant TB means when the person becomes drug resistant to first line of treatment of tuberculosis. Okay, so that's why it is important. Now coming to the tuberculosis, so if you will see the tuberculosis, तो यहाँ पे अगर आप देखेंगे तो why we have selected 24th March to be celebrated as World Tuberculosis Day. So this day is important because especially on this day that bacteria which causes tuberculosis, which is known as Mycobacterium tuberculosis, that is the name of the bacteria, Mycobacterium. Okay, Mycobacterium. So Mycobacterium tuberculosis which causes tuberculosis, this bacteria was discovered by Dr. Robert Koch. Okay, by Dr. Robert Koch. So he discovered this bacteria, Mycobacterium, a type of bacillus bacteria, on this day. So that's why we celebrate we observe 24th March as the World Tuberculosis Day. Now coming to the different targets. So India aims to eliminate TB by 2025. So that is the important year by which India aims to eliminate tuberculosis in India. Across the World Health Organization has kept the target of eliminating tuberculosis by 2030 in line with Sustainable Development Goals. So now let's start with the news. Now the first news, again coming from tuberculosis only. India rejects Johnson & Johnson's attempt to extend patent on TB drug. So this is again a very important news related to TB. So there is one drug which is used for the treatment of tuberculosis. The name of this drug is Bedaquiline. Sometimes the drugs are also asked in exam that which drug is used for the treatment of which disease. So Bedaquiline, manufactured by J&J, is a crucial anti-TB drug. ओके, इसका जो 6 मंथ ट्रीटमेंट रेजिमेंट होता है, इट कॉस्ट अराउंड $400. फाइन. तो अब जो है जो इंडिया का जो पेटेंट ऑफिस है, इंडियन पेटेंट ऑफिस, it has rejected the US pharmaceutical companies Johnson & Johnson attempt to extend its monopoly on manufacturing the drug beyond July 2023. तो बेडाक्विलिन का हम यहाँ पे बात कर रहे हैं. तो now once the patent has not been extended, so what will happen now? There are generic manufacturers which are there in India like Lupin and Macleods. They are going to produce bedaquiline and it will ensure cheaper and wider access of drug. Now, what is the importance of bedaquiline? So, it is a crucial drug in the treatment of multi-drug resistant TB patients for whom the first line drug treatment has stopped working. Now, there is one important thing which you should know about the patent, that is called as evergreening of patent. Okay, evergreening of patents. Now what is this evergreening of patents? Evergreening of patents का मतलब कि दो चीजें होती हैं. एक होता है इन्वेंशन, एक होता है स्लाइट मॉडिफिकेशन. सो वन इज इन्वेंशन, द नेक्स्ट इज स्लाइट मॉडिफिकेशन. सो इन्वेंशन में अगर आप देखेंगे तो अगर आप कुछ चीज इन्वेंट कर रहे हैं तो उसका पेटेंट प्रोटेक्शन है. ओके, समथिंग इज इनोवेटिव लाइक दैट. स्लाइट मॉडिफिकेशन का मतलब अगर आप सॉल्ट में कुछ चेंज कर रहे हो, मेडिसिन के सॉल्ट में कुछ चेंज कर रहे हो, या उसके सॉल्ट के किसी प्रोडक्शन प्रोसेस को चेंज कर रहे हो, दैट इज कॉल्ड ए स्लाइट मॉडिफिकेशन. सो स्लाइट मॉडिफिकेशन जो है that does not cover under invention. So sometimes what happens that pharmaceutical companies, in order to extend their patents, they go for slight modification and they show it as an invention. Okay, so this attempt by the pharmaceutical companies are known as evergreening of patents. Okay, So the Indian Patent Act has not recognized the slight modification in salt done by J&J in the drug, okay, and hence the this patent will end after July 2023. Now coming to the next one-liner news, that Tamil Nadu Assembly readopts bill against online gambling. So the Legislative Assembly of Tamil Nadu has readopted the Prohibition of Online Gaming and Regulation of Online Games Bill 2022, which was moved by Chief Minister M.K. Stalin. So earlier this bill was first adopted in October 19, 2022, and then it was again returned by the governor on March 6, saying that it goes against the constitution and court judgments, and for the second time the bill has readopted the bill after it was returned by the governor. Now the next news which we are going to discuss further also, it is related with Lily Thomas versus Union of India case. Some cases are very important in this the news which you are reading, Lily Thomas versus Union of India case. Okay, so I just give you one thing about Lily Thomas versus Union of India case. Under the Representations of People's Act, पहले रूल क्या था कि if someone is convicted in the case which amounts for 2-year imprisonment or more than that, okay, so there was one exception that they used to get 3-month breather for appealing against that conviction in the High Court, okay, and they used to say, and the parliamentarians or legislatures they used to save themselves from disqualification. So this exception was removed by Lily Thomas versus Union of India case 2013. Now coming to the Bedaquiline news once again, let's finish this news. So see what is called as evergreening. Now you will come to know that J&J had sought a patent extension on the basis of its claim that it has invented the method for making a derivative of quinoline in its salt form. Okay, but the order which has been passed by the Assistant Controller of Patents and Design, she has stated that the invention claimed was obvious and does not involve any inventive step. So if you will see the section 3D of the Patent Act, it states that salt forms and derivatives of known substances are not patentable. Okay, so this is the important section of the Indian Patent Act, or section 3D, which does not allow evergreening of patents. The next is government tapping technology to secure ancient scriptures for future, says Amit Shah. So Amit Shah, our Union Home Minister, now he has inaugurated two things. One is Vedic Heritage Portal and the second is Kala Vaibhav. So let's study about the Vedic Heritage Portal. So Vedic Heritage Portal, it was created by Indira Gandhi National Center for Arts. It is an autonomous body under the Union Ministry of Culture. So if you will see Vedic Heritage Portal, तो जो common users हैं और researchers हैं वो oral traditions के बारे में या manuscripts के बारे में जो जानना चाहते हैं वैदिक से वेदा से related, okay, so they can get the information about oral traditions, textual tradition in form of published books or manuscripts or implements. The next is Kala Vaibhav. तो Kala Vaibhav क्या है? ये एक virtual museum है which is based on 64 arts through which the world will be more familiar with India's architecture, painting, drama, music, and come to know about the glorious culture of India's history. The next is Amit Rakkar's Lok Sabha passes union budget without discussion. So now the union budget has been passed in the parliament. Amit Rakkar, so Rakkar क्यों है? जैसा कि हम जानते हैं जो हमने पहले भी पढ़ा था, that ruling party का जो डिमांड है वो है that apology from Rahul Gandhi for making speech in UK, and the second is opposition demand that they want joint parliamentary committee to investigate Adani issue. Okay, yeah. Now coming to this article, which is important for you to study about the conviction of Rahul Gandhi. So Congress leader Rahul Gandhi, he has been convicted by a court in Surat in Gujarat, okay, for related to 2019 defamation case. Fine. So there are some sections which we should know. If we look at the section 8.3 of the Representation of People Act 1951, so this is a section which guides the disqualification of legislature. Okay, so yeah, it says the moment a member of parliament is convicted of any offence and sentenced for at least 2 years, she or he attracts disqualification. ठीक है, तो जैसे कि राहुल गांधी जो हैं, he is the member of parliament from Wayanad in Kerala. ठीक है, तो इनको जो इम्प्रिजेंट मिला हुआ है वो 2 साल का है. ठीक. So if we see section 8(3) of the Representation of People's Act, so it says the moment they are convicted they attract disqualification. Fine. But अगर आप यहाँ पे देखेंगे जो PDT आचार्य हैं, who is the constitutional law expert, he says that the disqualification is directly linked to the quantum of sentence, and since the Supreme Court has suspended Mr. Gandhi's sentence for 30 days, okay, so the disqualification process is also on hold for the same period. Okay, so यहाँ पे जो डिसक्वालिफिकेशन प्रोसेस है वो अभी तक सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने उसको 30 दिन के लिए अभी सस्पेंड करके रखा है. ठीक है, 30 दिन उनको दिया है कि मतलब वो अपील कर सके, बाकी कुछ. नाउ कमिंग टू द लिली थॉमस वर्सेस यूनियन ऑफ इंडिया केस. सो हियर द फॉर्मर चीफ इलेक्शन कमिश्नर SY Qureshi, now he gives the opinion, since the court itself has suspended the sentence and not the conviction. तो कोर्ट ने क्या सस्पेंड किया? सेंटेंस, कन्विक्शन नहीं. The disqualification according to the Representation of People Act and its interpretation by the Supreme Court in the Lily Thomas case is automatic. So here the view is कि it is now automatic क्योंकि conviction हो चुका है. भले sentence को 30 दिन के लिए suspend किया जा चुका है, but there is a conviction. Okay. Now if you will see the Lily Thomas case versus Union of India, so it had struck down section 8(4) of the RP Act. Now see, this is also very important for us. That लिली थॉमस केस में कौन सा सेक्शन स्ट्रक डाउन किया था सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने? सो इट वाज सेक्शन 8(4) ऑफ द रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ पीपल एक्ट दैट गेव ए कन्विक्टेड लॉ मेकर द पावर टू रिमेन इन ऑफिस ऑन द ग्राउंड्स दैट अपील्स हैव बीन फाइल्ड विद इन 3 months ऑफ द कन्विक्शन. ठीक है, तो ये 3 month का ब्रीदर पीरियड देता था टू फाइल एन अपील अगेंस्ट द कन्विक्शन. Now there is second technicality which is involved, that is the disqualification would be formalized only when the Lok Sabha Secretariat issues a notification saying that the seat has fallen vacant and subsequently the Election Commission orders the election to the seat again. Fine. Now coming to another judgment, okay, that is experts now they are saying that according to the judgment in 2018 Lok Prahari case, an appeal if the conviction is suspended then the disqualification will also remain suspended. Okay, so they are saying कि appeal करने के बाद अगर conviction is suspended तो disqualification will also be suspended. Then there is another option which is available for the member of parliament is approaching the president under article 103. So as per 103 article 103 of the constitution, the disqualification case of an MP will be decided by the president in consultation with the election commission. Right. Now there is one case of a member of parliament from Lakshadweep. So his name is PP Mohammad Faisal. So he was convicted by a court in Lakshadweep in January, but week later the Kerala High Court suspended the conviction and said his disqualification as a Lok Sabha member would no longer be valid. Then Mr. Faisal immediately challenged in the Supreme Court the election commission's decision to announce a bypoll in his constituency. And after that the law minister recommended the reinstatement of the member of parliament. Now coming to the foreign news. So यहाँ पे जो important news है that is coming from Ankara, that is Turkey. So Turkish Parliament Commission approves Finland's NATO bid. So in past 2 countries had applied for the membership of NATO. Those were Sweden and Finland. ठीक है, Sweden and Finland. ठीक है. अब नाटो में मेंबरशिप लेने का जो तरीका है वो है बाय कंसेंसस, नॉट बाय मेजॉरिटी, बाय कंसेंसस. नाउ व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ कंसेंसस? नाउ नाटो टिल नाउ इट हैज 30 members. One of the members is Turkey. So all 30 members should ratify the inclusion of new members in NATO. बट जब स्वीडन और फिनलैंड ने अप्लाई किया तो टर्की को एक प्रॉब्लम था. ये प्रॉब्लम जो था वो ये था कि कुछ कुर्दिश मिलिटेंट ग्रुप्स हैं. टर्की का कहना था देयर आर सर्टेन कुर्दिश मिलिटेंट ग्रुप्स विच आर रिकॉग्नाइज्ड एज टेररिस्ट बाय टर्की, बाय यूएस एक्सेट्रा. Okay, they are supported by Sweden and Finland. So until they pass the law and there are extradition of terrorists from these countries to Turkey, so Turkey ने veto लगा दिया. उसके बाद इनके बीच में कुछ agreement हुआ. These 2 countries they passed certain laws and they also uplifted the arms embargo on Turkey. So now Turkish Parliament has gone ahead. So the Foreign Affairs Commission they have approved a bill ratifying Finland's bid to join NATO. The next is Israel passes law protecting Netanyahu amid protest. So Israel Parliament has passed the first of the several laws, okay, which is going to overhaul their judicial system, and it has seen the massive protest. So now the law which has been passed by the Israel, okay, it will protect Netanyahu from being deemed unfit to rule because of its corruption trial. Okay. Now coming over here, there is one static information. The law to protect Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu passed in an early morning vote 6147 in Israel's 120 seat Knesset. Now what is Knesset over here? तो जैसे कि डिफरेंट कंट्रीज में पार्लियामेंट को डिफरेंट डिफरेंट नाम होता है, तो वैसे इजराइल के पार्लियामेंट का नाम है नेसेट. The next is following protest at High Commission, UK seeks to assure India on security. So UK Foreign Secretary James Cavalier, he has sought to allay security concerns of the Indian High Commission. So it is linked with the Punjab police hunt of Amritpal Singh. So here, so pro Khalistani protesters, they robbed the Indian High Commission in London. So now the UK government has assured India of security of the Indian High Commission. Now from UK we have a one-liners news. So US has announced that individuals traveling to a country on a business or tourist visa, so business visa, that is B1 visa, tourist visa, B2 visa, so they can apply for new jobs and even appear for interviews. But before starting the job, they should get the visa status should change to the respective categories. So they can apply for the job, they can appear for the interview while having B1 B2 visa, but before starting the job they should have the valid visa, okay, other than B1 and B2 visa. So now what is the importance of this news? So this is because highly skilled foreign born workers, especially from India, okay, they have lost their jobs due to a series of recent layoffs at companies like Google, Microsoft and Amazon. Okay, so now they want certain time to apply for different companies, okay, but now कुछ Indians ऐसे होंगे जिनका H1B visa expire होने को होगा, then they have to return to India. So if they return to India, they cannot apply for other jobs. So this will give them a breather to apply for jobs. The next is the news from Goods and Services Tax, that is GST Appellate Tribunal may be headed by a former Supreme Court judge. So according to the Goods and Services Tax amendments laws, which is going to enable the tribunal's constitutions, which will be introduced in Lok Sabha. So the Goods and Services Tax Appellate Tribunal, it is likely to be headed by former Supreme Court judge or former Chief Justice of High Court, and then its framework may permit the resolution of disputes involving dues or fines of less than rupees 50 lakh by a single member bench. इसका मतलब if the dispute is concerned with the amount less than 50 lakh, so here a single member bench can also look into that issue. Then there will be one principal bench of appellate tribunal in New Delhi, and there will be several state benches. An appeal pertaining to disputes of less than rupees 50 lakh that don't deal with the question of law could be decided by a single member bench, as I have discussed. Next is why do we require appellate tribunal? Okay, so यहाँ पे problem ये है कि that two writ petitions have been filed in High Court. Okay, तो यहाँ पे क्या होता है कि GST ट्राइब्यूनल के बाद अगर appellate ट्राइब्यूनल अगर नहीं है तो हाई कोर्ट में जो है वो केस फाइल होता है, which increases the pendency of cases in high court. So having appellate tribunal would result in lower burden on the courts and taxpayers. Now coming to text and context, India's push for semiconductors. Okay, so यहाँ पर अगर आप देखेंगे that semiconductors, they are very crucial for manufacturing of electronic goods in India. So Union government, it has already announced rupees 1,645 crore performance linked incentive schemes for electric manufacturing in India. Then India is also witnessing the push for semiconductors, or which is also called as integrated circuit, okay, for the manufacturing of modern electrical appliances and personal electronic devices. Now what is the semiconductor fabrication units? Okay, now semiconductor fabrication units, they are very important in supply chain in the manufacturing of electronic products. For example, you must have read about chips, electronic chips. So they are made from silicon. So जो सिलिकॉन से जो चिप्स जो हम बनाते हैं, इसी को हम कहते हैं, ये कहाँ बनता है? ये बनता है फैब्रिकेशन यूनिट्स में. तो इसी को हम कहते हैं सेमीकंडक्टर फैब्रिकेशन यूनिट्स, ओके, और फैब्स. So they turn raw elements such as silicon into integrated circuits that are fit to be part of all electronic hardware in the world. Now, what is the problem with fabs? Fabs, they are highly capital intensive and they cost billions of dollars for large facilities, right? But today, every country, if they want to become self-reliant in electronic manufacturing, they require semiconductor fabs. Okay, so now if you will see that US has passed the CHIPS Act, okay, providing $280 billion in subsidies and investment to manufacturers opening fabs and making semiconductors in US. So this has so US is looking to reduce the dependency for chips on China. Now if you will see that in India, Invest India agency estimates that electronics manufacturing as a whole will be worth $300 billion by the financial year 2025-26. But if you will see in India that semiconductor fabs for making chipsets and displays, okay, they are very rare in India. So the first semiconductor manufacturing lab would be announced in coming weeks, as said by the Electronics and Information Technology Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw. अब हम यहाँ पे एक केस लेते हैं जहाँ पे यूएस का एक रिपोर्ट है दैट इज कॉल्ड एज एप्को वर्ल्ड वाइड. सो यहाँ पे दे आर सेइंग कि इंडिया कैन लीड इन ओसेट. नाउ व्हाट इज ओसेट? इट इज आउटसोर्स्ड सेमीकंडक्टर असेंबली एंड टेस्ट यूनिट्स. So there are companies that specialize in OSAT. They are less expensive to set up and generate better margins. So the OSAT sets up take care of less capital intensive as compared to semiconductor fabrication units. OSAT, they are very less capital intensive, okay, and they focus on assembling the precise components that have already been manufactured and running specialized tests to approve them. Now, what are the other advantages which India can have? So see, India, it has an advantage because large portion of semiconductor design engineers globally, they are either Indian or Indian origin, and chip making firms such as Intel and Nvidia, they have large facilities in India that are flush with Indian talent working on design problem. The next is that this is an advantage as China is losing control over in the face of sanctions and aging population. So we will see that China, यहाँ पे demography also plays a role because it is something related to skills, new skills. So India, which has a demographic dividend, so it can utilize this aging problem in China to fuel the growth of OSAT in India. Now see the government steps. So Minister of State for Electronics and Information Technology Rajiv Chandrasekhar has said that at the Rise in a Dialogue that the electronics value chain would have to be an international undertaking among nations with a common values to be effective. Means here he is talking about global integrated supply chain. Now coming to the next news, why is India's CAMPA at odds with new IPCC report? So कल हमने पेपर में पढ़ा था IPCC रिपोर्ट के बारे में. इनका जो सिंथेसिस रिपोर्ट है, सिंथेसिस रिपोर्ट which is the part of 6th assessment report. ठीक है, it is the part of 6th assessment report. So it has already said that there is need to reduce emission to 48% from 2019 level, ठीक है, by 2030. Then it has said that the world should aim to restrict the global rise in temperature at 1.5 degrees Celsius, not 2 degrees Celsius. Means that what the goal which was highlighted in the Paris Climate Agreement of 2015. Second, it also says that the developed countries should provide finance for making a transition in developing countries, because it talks about the climate justice that developed countries, they have contributed more in the greenhouse gas emission as compared to developing countries. Now over here we are talking about afforestation, okay, means making carbon sinks in India. So India जो है, it aims to develop the cumulative carbon sink of 2.5 to 3 gigaton of CO2 equivalent through additional forest and tree cover by 2030. तो यहाँ पे जो CAMPA है, if we will look at CAMPA, that is Compensatory Afforestation Fund Management and Planning Authority, which is chaired by Environment Minister. तो कैंपा का जो मेन जो मोटिव है वो है एफॉरेस्टेशन. Afforestation. Now see how afforestation takes place. So suppose there is a diversion of land, diversion of forest, sorry. For example, suppose कि हम कोई डैम बना रहे हैं और डैम की वजह से there is submergence, ठीक है, submergence of forest land. So the equivalent amount of trees which will be submerged, they have to be afforested somewhere else in the country. Fine. तो इस केस में हम क्या कर रहे हैं, वी आर डिस्ट्रॉइंग द नेचुरल इकोसिस्टम. फाइन. सो इफ यू विल सी दैट अकॉर्डिंग टू द फॉरेस्ट कंजर्वेशन एक्ट 1980, द प्रोजेक्ट प्रोपोनेंट मीन्स whosoever is building the project who want to divert the land, they must identify land elsewhere for afforestation and they should pay for the land value and afforestation exercise. फाइन. अब कैंपा में जो फंड है एज ऑफ 2019 इट वाज ₹47,000 crore. So CAMPA, it has been criticized for facilitating the destruction of natural ecosystem in exchange for forests to be set up in faraway places. Now if you will see the natural ecosystem, fine. So there is a study which says that sequestered carbon recovers fastest under fast growing plantations, but even then it will take many decades before it approaches the level of carbon sequestered in a natural forest. Natural forest मतलब जो सालों साल से जो फॉरेस्ट है, ओके, विच इज नेचुरल फॉरेस्ट. सो इफ वी रिप्लेस दैट नेचुरल फॉरेस्ट विद द प्लांटेशंस, so it will take years for them to reach the same level of carbon sink, okay, same level of carbon sequestration. Okay, so they say that creating single species plantations in say Haryana does not really come close to a natural sal forest lost to a development project say in central India in terms of biodiversity, local livelihood, hydrological services and sequestered carbon. Okay, so this is one of the problem which has been highlighted. The second is the IPCC report. It says that the sole option with more mitigating potential than reducing conversion of natural ecosystem was solar power. So this saying ki IPCC report is itself highlighting that we should not disturb the natural forest. In fact, we should look for alternatives like solar power. Fine. And the third highest was wind. So they say that many solar parks in India, they have triggered conflicts with people living nearby because they limit land use and increase local water consumption. Then there was a study which was published in Nature, Ecology and Evolution, which has found that wind farms in the Western Ghats had reduced the abundance and activity of predatory birds, which consequently increased the density of lizards. So now see the IPCC report क्या कहता है, that reducing conversion of natural ecosystems could be more expensive than wind power, yet still less expensive than ecosystem restoration, afforestation restoration. Okay, so even the IPCC report is saying, is favoring the protection of natural ecosystem. So friends, that's all for today. We will meet tomorrow again with the daily Hindu analysis. Till then, have a nice time. Take care. Thank you.